Brand new details surrounding the now infamous Whipgate controversy, which saw President Biden and others in the administration falsely accusing Border Patrol agents of whipping Haitian migrants. Turns out it was just horse reins, and those agents were later exonerated after an investigation. But before the White House had all the facts, both President Biden and Vice President Harris were slamming the agents involved.
To see people treated like they did, horses barely running them over, people being strapped, it's outrageous. I promise you, those people will pay.
It also evoked images of some of the worst moments of our history, where that kind of behavior has been used against the indigenous people of our country, has been used against African Americans during times of slavery.
But hours after that, Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas got this email from his press office highlighting an article that indicated that President Biden had misconstrued the photo and that the photographer never saw any migrants whipped. But instead of correcting the record or even spreading the word around, Mr. Mayorkas walked into the White House briefing room and said this.
We know that those images painfully conjured up the worst elements of our nation's ongoing battle against systemic racism.
That's terrible.
DP, you've been in that briefing room, and you've seen secretaries come in there. What was your?
I think that this is it's shocking in how disgusting it is. I mean, we knew from the beginning that, well, most people did, if you've got a brain, that he's the horse patrol using reins in order to maneuver the horse, in order to do the job that they've been given to do. And they got smeared, they got put on desk duty, and now they're facing some sort of 14-day suspension without pay for some sort of administrative issue because the president doesn't want to be embarrassed. If I were the president, I would call in Mayorkas and say, excuse me, you had this email and you let us walk around here and say all this? Or, wait, is it worse than that? Did they all know and they decided to do it anyway? And they let those guys out there twist in the wind. The other thing that really bothers me about this is Bill Melugin gave the Department of Homeland Security 2 days to respond to a media inquiry. And they never responded until afterwards, and then they tried to clean it up. That's not how this works. These public information officers, I stress public for a reason, you get paid by the taxpayer. Your job is to respond to the press. Even if you respond to say, I have no comment, or I'm not able to talk to you about this, or go, you know what, yourself. That you could say anything you want, but to not call is not right. And this administration does this constantly all across the board. And Bill Melugin and our reporters who call and try to just get some answers on it, they deserve a lot better. But these horse patrols that got pulled off of the job because, and how many illegal immigrants came across during that time because of this? I think that the president owes these horse patrol an apology. He should go to the border and visit them, or he should invite them to the White House and actually apologize on camera. And Mayorkas ought to have to answer from this. And if the Republicans take over in January, he will be up there and he will have to answer for it under oath.
Greg, you're nodding there.
I agree with everything. I apologize to Mo, Larry, and Curly, but this guy's a stooge. Actually, he's worse than a stooge. He's a betrayer because he hung his own employees out to dry for minimal political gain. I mean, these guys did go through like a public hanging. Do you remember how the press acted? It was basically an opportunistic hate crime hoax, right? It was incendiary. Everybody who talked about this was so emotionally invested in it, they didn't want to know the truth. And we were really good. I thought we were like going, let's wait. Nobody else did. If you work under Mayorkas, you cannot trust him again. Right. He's a rat. You know, he'll sell out his grandmother. I mean, if he had any self-respect, he would resign, but we know he has less than a Times Square Elmo. It's just like, it's disgusting. And I think the thing is that what's the worst thing about it is we were right. And nobody gave a damn, and they weren't. Those guys were not exonerated. They were smeared.
How do they get their reputations back, Judge? I mean, what would be the recommendation that you would have for the administration to help that?
Who was it, the Labor Secretary, who asked that very question after he was acquitted? You know, how do I get my reputation back? You don't get your reputation back. If you work in an administration where this is tolerated, where it goes right to the top, where before knowing what any of the facts are, the president comes out and talks about horses running over people. And when you've got this guy Mayorkas saying it conjures up the worst images of our systemic racism, then you realize that there's no way for these people to, for the men on horses, whose job, by the way, it is to make sure that the border is protected while they are on their horses, with a horse provided by Border Patrol and the reins as well. I mean, they have certain things that they're required to do. But the scary part is it's all about ideology. It's not about facts anymore. It's about whether it's in schools, it's about race. Whether it's about the border, it's about race. It's everything is, you know, we've got white supremacists are the biggest problem in this country. And then they said those numbers were inflated. Whistleblowers told us that. It's an agenda that they have that is totally separate from the truth and reality. And that's why people don't trust politics anymore. They can't. When they see this, they cannot.
Prime time.
There are two types of people in Washington. There are the liars, and then there are the idiots. But in order to get ahead in Washington successfully, you have to be a lying idiot. And that's what Mayorkas is. Mayorkas knew these guys were innocent. He went out and then he lied about it. And then he didn't tell his boss, Biden, they were innocent.
Right.
And the most important thing as an employee is to make your boss not look foolish.
Right.
And he made Biden look very foolish. And it's almost like the hoax was coming, it was coming, and he had to man up and stop the hoax, and he just let it pass. So then everybody looked bad, and innocent guys got smeared. Now remember, this is the same guy that gave us the Mary Poppins lady, the disinformation singer. He vouched for her, said she had integrity, said we needed government speech police in the United States of America. Turns out she believed the Hunter laptop was Russia disinformation, and then he had to yank her. Come on. This guy Mayorkas, I know how he got ahead because I did a deep dive into his background. So he is not what you think he is. He grew up in Beverly Hills. He went to Greg's alma mater, Berkeley. And then his wealthy father paid for him to go to law school. And then he played the in and out game for a while, where you go to private practice, you go to government, in and out, and you build up your network. You build up your nest egg. And he worked the patronage mill really effectively. So Dianne Feinstein was his sponsor. Then Bill Clinton nominated him. Then Barack Obama. Then Joe Biden appointed him. And he gets in there, and he totally blows it because he was at a hearing. You remember Ted Cruz asked him, and the guy's got weeks to prepare for the hearing. That's all they do is prepare for hearings. And he goes, do you have any people that cross the border? No. Do you have any kids that are in your cages? No. Do you even know if Joe Biden or Kamala Harris went to the border in 2021? No. He couldn't answer. He couldn't answer anything. Now, he was probably nominated, at least that's what they tout, is because he was Hispanic. He was born in Cuba. His parents are Jewish, which was confusing to me. But, you know, I don't know a lot about that stuff. But I'm not as confused as he is, because he is very, very confused. But lying idiots rise to the top in Washington.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Do we know that Joe Biden didn't know?
Well, then what does that make him?
No, it's a great question. That's why I said it's possible that they don't want to answer this question because of what the answer would be.
Right.
What did he know and when did he know it?
That's right.
Let's not jump to a conclusion. If the facts come out your way, I think it will be devastating, but this is terrible.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.